Hello and welcome. This is the Illuminated Resident here. That's my name. Um, to the Eureka Salon, where a nobody talks about everything. It's the first episode. Thanks for listening in advance. The point of this show is to basically shine some light on a different viewpoint on various matters that would concern a regular guy on a computer. Just looking at the world and seeing how it fits into the grand scheme of things. Um, so I really dig the kind of platform sites like YouTube and SoundCloud and stuff like that offer, because I think it's akin back to the old days where they used to have these salons. I think they were in French, I could be wrong, where people would just talk about all manner of things, from the day-to-day life, the grind, to black magic, to religion, to, any topic was on the table. And if you were intelligent, if you were succinct, if you had an opinion, um, they would hear you out. And that's where you would express yourself, just through words. Um, and I think that's a really important thing to have these days in society. I think it's something that's much needed. I think it's a very natural thing for us to socialize in this way. And though it may be in a different form, through all this crazy technology, um, I still think it's extremely viable. And no matter what, I think it's a testament to how um, the human spirit is not easily, broken. So, there's that. Um, I'm also a musician of sorts. I'm weird. I don't want to actually be known as, a musician. In earlier episodes um, that I haven't recorded yet, that means that's in my head. Um, I have a fresh disdain for, the music industry, or any industry for that matter. When I think about it, um, I just think it's a way of commercializing a very natural form that we're all born with. A natural way of expressing. I see that done through music. I see it done through, you know, um, radio. I see it done through everything. If people can talk, they'll commercialize it. Everything's a product, and that's just not a good thing to. I don't think it's very healthy at this point for the human race. Do you? So basically, for this first episode, what I want to get into is, how nobody feels about pot, for example. Background. I started smoking at around 18, I believe, and it totally, obviously, changed the way I think, the way I talk, everything about me. I would argue for the better. You see, I was really uptight, but I didn't know it. Um, Tail end of high school, through the whole thing, I thought I knew everything. I was like, when I say I was uptight, I mean I was like really uptight. I look at pictures of myself back then these days, and say this poor kid's about to pop. Basically, I was so in my head. I was so into just all of this heavy drama, about everything, and my ego was fighting so incredibly hard um, to make its stake in the world, totally blinded by all these crazy hormones and desires and confusions, and I thought I was making sense of it all, but in fact, it was really getting pretty bad. And when I look back, I was headed down a pretty dark path. I would have popped literally. I would have snapped. And, I'm not saying I would do anything violent, but it would have been something like alcohol or heroin or something really hard like that. I would have found solace in that, and I would have dived headfirst into it, at the demise of everything that I, you know, thought I had built or anything. Relationships, I would have let it all fall down because day by day, the failures from me, from everyone, the disillusionment was accruing, and it was really bad. But I didn't realize it, I didn't realize that I was that epically not happy, you know. Um, but when I first started getting high, um, off of pot, I noticed a few crazy effects almost immediately, and from then I realized that, my God, I've been literally depressed like all my life. Wow, I haven't laughed in like 3 months. This is incredible. I mean, full belly laughter, just pure happiness. I hadn't actually experienced anything like that since I was around 5 years old. Um, and I couldn't believe it. I thought I had the answers, you know. Um, it also brought to light a lot of psychological blocks that I had, that I was forced to, create when I was being programmed by society. And it was it was absolutely incredible. It's like kind of like Plato's cave when I think about it. The world just seemed alive again, and I hadn't even realized that it was dead in the first place. You know, so yeah, my libido, for example, it just spiked out of control. I realized how horny I really was. I was like, wow, this is pretty intense and great at the same time. Um, it got me to pick up my violin. I play the violin, been playing it all my life, but I was not playing as much or being as honest in the art, you know, and got me to pick that up again. Everything I heard musically was amazing. I hadn't eaten in a while. It made me hungry. I was having trouble sleeping. It made me sleep like a baby. All of this happened within the span of 6 hours, I think, the first time. But it felt like 2 days. And that was great too, because I always had an issue with, time, you know, slipping away so fast. The day was going by too fast. And so yeah, and I was actually having fun, real fun, by myself. The stuff I was reading was fascinating. You know, the textbooks back then were amazing too. I wanted to learn everything, and I realized, this little plant that's supposedly a weed, like grows like a weed, you know, simultaneously, took away all those problems temporarily. And actually, if I figured out a way to kind of hold on to those kind of rules, into sobriety, and it became sort of like I don't know, I don't want to liken it to shamans, yeah, maybe. It became sort of like a ritual, like yeah, a sacrament, to me. Like an ongoing conversation I was having with this plant, because I realized pretty early on that I was communicating with it, and every time I smoked again, the conversation would pick back up, and it would check to see if I had taken any notes, and there was homework, and it was pretty good. It was pretty cool. Um, but basically, life goes on. Got into some pretty bad relationships. I ended up in jail for a few days and got a felony on my record, non-violent, non-violent or whatnot, and been on probation, ever since. And the interesting thing, what I did when I realized that I actually had to stop, basically, was I tried to say to myself that I was using marijuana as a crutch, for happiness. And I said that, what, it is true to some degree that, you know, um, it's every human being's right to be happy naturally, and I shouldn't have to look for something outside of myself um, in order to feel that. So I'm gonna have to take this time to figure out, um, how to be happy naturally, you know, because honestly, in all truth of things on the inside, what was happening was I realized that my medicine was gone and I wasn't done with therapy. Um, and I was kind of freaking out. But I took the challenge head on, so I tried, meditating and, yoga and, all of this stuff and ISKCON, Hare Krishna, all of that. I was trying to get high naturally, basically, and experimenting with all sorts of ways, you know, all sorts of ways. And I fooled myself, honestly, pretty well. I mean, it's not like it was the end of the world, so that part of the mission was complete, but the issue was I wasn't remembering the rules of when I was actually high. It was hard for me to grasp those kinds of the way a certain way of seeing the world, you know. And I didn't also realize that I had some serious psychological issues I needed to work with, and it wasn't the plan itself making me happy, it was giving me space to think about these things and to tackle them head on that way. Because when you're in the thick of it, though, it is possible, to work through it because I'm broke, I can't afford therapy and, stuff like that. Most likely, those neuroses are going to continue to feed, you know. So that's exactly what happened. But it was unbeknownst to me, just like at the beginning of high school. I was uptight, 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 uptight. Not breathing, not sleeping, not eating, just scared, all the time, and not knowing why, and trying to figure it out, and then just becoming bitter, at a very fast pace, in the space of about a year, you know, um, and I wasn't going down a pretty good path until Bach came by chance, caught me at a good time, looked at the date when I needed to drop. Oh well, I got over a month. Sure, yeah, whatever, and ooh, I got a follower. Um, that's and then I realized exactly what I was missing, and it really got me thinking, and that's why I've decided to create this channel, basically. I need to talk about this stuff, and hopefully this voice can give a testament to how much this stuff is needed. Because basically, what the government has done is taking away the cheapest, fastest way for one person to work through their issues if they have a decent head on their shoulders by themselves. I had plenty of more neuroses way back when that I simply don't have now. But the thing is more of a recruit because I wasn't done with the work. So it's pretty frustrating. But at the same time, I could have used a break. It was great. Tolerance is a interesting thing to work with. When I had no tolerance, it really hit me hard, which was great. And I have plenty of stuff to try to integrate. So I had this theory. Speaking of which, um, I got the formula wrong. I think meditation and psychedelics mild to very, very strong, and I do consider, weed a mild psychedelic. Edibles are in a whole different world, but um, I think meditation and psychedelics go hand in hand, of which the psychedelics, they stimulate the mind and they open the veil for a little bit, always for a little bit. And then afterwards, it's not exactly the best thing to do to just keep doing it. I mean, you can, it's not the end of the world, doesn't hurt anybody, but if you're looking to self-realize, for example, it's good to have those experiences and let your body, let your mind integrate those rules So it actually involves a bit of work because you have to take notes and you have to be observant of your thinking, use the witness, all of that stuff, in order to really hold on and to integrate those actual lessons. Because what usually happens in Western society, for example, Western society is the only one I could speak about because that's my programming, is there's so many distractions of all sorts of colors and stuff thrown at the head. It literally bombards the mind. It bombards the mind, and you get distracted and you forget that little bit of moment you had where everything was one. For example, it's easy to slip by because actually when you think about it, it's really quite obvious. That's one of the fun things of, getting high, for example, everything's one. I can see how it all works. Oh, it's all good. Then you start playing with that and you see reality change. I mean, it's crazy, but you forget all of that, when you're back into your old programming, you know. So, getting thrown back isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just, okay, you've gone to school, now it's time to do the homework, is how I think about it. And I think that's what yoga and meditation are actually for in their actual utility. Wow, 16 minutes already. Yeah, I'm not gonna make these an hour. I'll break these up a bit. But basically, so I guess that's just a taster. I guess we can call this, marijuana part one of what I think about this whole thing. A little bit of background in myself and my relationship with the plant and how important it is to me. And I think it's the highest of travesties in this world to belittle and train people to hate themselves because a weed helps them. It's unacceptable, in my opinion. Yeah, I can't see it any other way on so many different levels. I have a right to my consciousness. I have a right to my words and my actions and what I do and don't do, period. And I don't deserve to be, criminalized, for it. You know, it's just not right. It's just not right. There's so many people who actually are victimized by crazier things, and they're even criminalized. They're victimized by certain substances, and they need help, you know. But we'd rather throw them in a cage, and it's just wrong. So that's what a nobody thinks about this, something of this marijuana legalization. I mean, I'm glad it's happening. I thought the progress we've made so far, I never thought would happen in my lifetime, but call me impatient, but I think this should have been done a long time ago, and I'm willing to do whatever I can, in my agoraphobic capacity, to try to help this, along. Okay, so yeah, that's the first episode. Thanks for listening. This is Illuminated Resident, Eureka Salon, what somebody thinks about everything. Thanks. Bye.